So, how do you know when your creative project is done? Like, that's a pretty big question. And I found myself falling into what I call a head trap this past weekend, which was so interesting. So, I thought I would come and talk about it and get your thoughts on it and also give you some inspiration on how to get past that if it happens to you. So, lots of times I'll see when in my course, when people are creating their card deck, they'll get to the end, everything's looking great. And then all of a sudden, they start finding a million things wrong. Should I move this here? Should I move this there? What about this? What about that? And there have been plenty of times where I have to say, you're done. This is perfect. Please stop. You're going to stop. And this weekend, even though I know all this and I know the head tricks that can happen, I was victim to it. So I was creating a card deck. I'd been working on it for a while, and I had the date in my head that it was going to the printer on Monday. That was a mandatory deadline for me. And so I said, okay, I'm going to spend some hours on the weekend. And I wound up spending all day Saturday, all day Sunday completing this card deck. And I was in love with this project, like in love with it. I'm like, oh my God, this is my best ever so far. I love it so much. And when it came time to hit over to the printer, I got in the head trap thing. And I started to say, oh, I wonder if I should try this. I wonder if I should move this. I wonder if I should do that. So thank God for my partner. And I said, honey, can you come? What do you think? Should I move this over here? He goes, stop. You're done. It's perfect. Same thing that I say. And it made me realize, yes, you're right. It is perfect. It is perfect. But so how do we know when a project's done? It's like I knew it in my heart. I felt that it was done. I felt like I am excited about this card deck. I'm excited to give it to my client. So I knew deep down that it was done. But again, that little, pesky ego questioning, well, what if I could make it better? And because it's that scary point where you're going to finally say, here you go, right? And then all that other stuff comes out, like you're putting your creation into the world. So it's a great time where we stop ourselves and start to question. So I wanted to read you a little bit. This is a great book. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And it's just such a great book. But he talks about the completion stage. And I just want to read a little bit to you. And he says, when is the work done? There is no formula or method for finding this answer. It's an intuition, right? The work is done when you feel it's done. And also knowing that you're not like up here saying all kinds of like wacky stuff, right? And one of the things that he suggests is, although we don't like to work with deadlines, and I don't even like the word deadline, so I like to give my students the idea to put a debut date on there, which sounds really much more fun, right? The date you're going to showcase it and show everybody, or even get it to the printer. But we like to do that a little closer to the end, so we can say, okay, here's my debut date, and then we kind of live to that, because otherwise, we could keep going forever and ever. And you don't want any more unfinished projects laying around in your idea pad or on your table or even floating around in your head, right? So another thing he says, when the last chapter or you're about to hit send to the printer, or you're about to put your brush down from your artwork or whatever it is that you're creating, when that last thing is about to end, we may create excuses to put off the completion of the work. It can be a sudden loss of faith in the project, deciding it's no longer good enough. We find flaws that don't really exist. We make inconsequential changes, which was what I was about to do. We sense the distant mirage of some better creative option that hasn't yet been discovered. And if we only just keep working, we might arrive at it someday. As if we keep working at it, someday we're going to say, oh, it's better. And I've also experienced where I was working on a painting or something, and like when I knew I should have stopped is when I should have stopped, because as I kept going, it got, I wrote it, right? So there's that part too, right? So here's another really cool thing that he talks about. When you believe the work before you is the single piece that will define you forever, it's difficult to let go. The urge for perfection is overwhelming. It's too much. We're frozen and sometimes end up convincing ourselves that discarding the entire work is the only way to move forward. And I've had students do that too, where they're like, I'm just going to start over again, or I'm switching because I don't like my original idea, right? So the only art the world gets to enjoy is from creators who've overcome these hurdles and released their work. Perhaps still greater artists existed than the ones that we know, but they were never able to make this leap. Like, right? So imagine if you're just like so stuck on the perfection that you never get your thing published. I mean, that would be a crime for people, right? That really is you holding back your gift, and no one wins when we do that. So releasing a work into the world becomes easier when we remember that each piece can never be a total reflection of us, only a reflection of who we are in this moment. So if we wait, it's no longer today's reflection. In a year, we may be guided to create a piece that looks nothing like it. There's a timeliness to the work. The passing of seasons could dissipate the value of that the work holds for us. So basically, hanging on to your work is like spending years writing in the same entry in your diary. Moments and opportunities are lost. The next works are robbed of being brought to life. So you don't ever want to be guilty of not bringing your gifts to life, because, again, everybody benefits from that. So just like be aware of what you're doing. Like, it was so interesting to me to watch what I was doing. And by the way, I got the decks back from the printer today, and I am like over the moon excited, and I can't even wait. I can't show you because I haven't showed my client yet, but once I do, I'm going to be showing them all over the place because, oh my God, it's so amazingly gorgeous. And so just imagine if I said, right? What if I said, I'm not going to finish, I'm not going to do it, right? It would be something that's out of, not that you would never get to enjoy, and I would never get to enjoy, and my client would never get to enjoy. So anyway, remember, be aware of what it is that you're like, watch yourself and notice. And once we're aware, we can make the changes. We can laugh about it, or we can tell stories about it, and we can get our beautiful gifts out there. All right. Have a great weekend. Ciao for now. And I will see you soon.